ELIC Panorama.
This is ELIC Panorama. This radio program is brought to you by Hawassa College of Teacher Education English Language Improvement Center.
A radio program dedicated to improving your English.
Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another and suffer the indignity of being the skunk of the world. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. I thank you.
It has been over a week since we heard the death of Nelson Mandela, born in 1918 in a small village in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. Nelson Mandela is one of the world's most revered statesmen who led the struggle to replace the apartheid regime of South Africa with a multiracial democracy. Hawassa College of Teacher Education English Language Improvement Center dedicates this weekend show for Nelson Mandela following his death December 5, 2013. Our warm greetings to you all. This is ELIC Panorama radio show broadcasted to you from Fana BC FM 103.4 every Sunday from 8:05 to 8:30. Your hostess for today, me Tasfahun Wildemetin and
Todd McGowan.
And Hans.
And we have a guest speaker today. Francis, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Tesfa. My name is Francis Edmilau. Like Todd, I am also from Vancouver, Canada. I came to Ethiopia in February to work for 2 years as a VSO volunteer. I am currently an ICT advisor at Bulehora CTE in the Borena zone. Thanks for letting me join the program.
We start today's show by showing you some of the reactions by world's most influential people on the days of Nelson Mandela. Haptamu, what are some of the reactions?
Yeah, the news of Mandela's days has moved the whole world. Famous personalities from different walks of life has reacted to the days of Africa's true son, Mandela. First, Barack Obama made an official speech paying tribute to Mandela at White House. In his speech, Obama quoted saying, "Like so many around the globe, I cannot fully imagine my life without the example that Nelson Mandela set." The founder and owner of the software giant Microsoft, Bill Gates, also said, "Every time I met Nelson Mandela, I felt more inspired than ever. His grace and courage changed the world." UK Prime Minister David Cameron also reacted saying, "Nelson Mandela showed us the true meaning of courage, hope and reconciliation." Many more religious elites, heads of states, sports personalities, entertainers have also reacted to Mandela's days, simply saying our world has lost a great person. Most surprising of all, people at his hometown Soweto are dancing and celebrating following his days. When asked by BBC why they are celebrating, they said, "We are happy that he was born and we shouldn't cry because he's dead."
And now Todd is going to tell us about the legacy that Mandela has left behind.
So it's difficult to put into words all the contributions that Nelson Mandela not only made for South Africa, but for the world in general. I mean, how do you sum up a man who won the Nobel Peace Prize and has done so much for all of us? When I thought about it, came up with 3 words that had a great impact on me and when thinking about Nelson Mandela: peace, hope, and vision. So he created 20 years of peace in South Africa. He created a hope for the future and dignity for himself, his people, his country and his continent. He's helped to expand the vision of what people see as a possibility in Africa. And he's shown the way forward for not only for South Africa, but he's paved the way forward for many countries that are going through the development process on the African continent. He's a great man and he'll be sorely missed.
Many say that Nelson Mandela has a lot of connection with Ethiopia. Can we just describe some of the connections, Habtamu?
Yeah, there is history between Ethiopia and Mandela. The first connection is Mandela wrote something about Ethiopia. In his book, he said, Ethiopia always has a special place in his imagination, and the prospect of visiting Ethiopia attracted him more strongly than a trip to France, England, and America combined. He felt he would be visiting his own genesis, unearthing the roots of what made him an African. During his period in exile, Nelson Mandela spent time in Ethiopia in 1962, where he received military training and where he addressed the Organization of African Unity. Mandela has also received a Bulgarian-made handgun by Ethiopian Colonel General Brut Adesa in 1962. It was reportedly buried in South Africa, and much effort is being made to find it. If it is found, it could be worth over $2 million. Nelson Mandela met and spoke to Emperor Haile Selassie, and when he talked about his impression, he said, I explained to Haile Selassie very briefly what was happening in South Africa. He was seated on his chair, listening like a log, not nodding, just immovable, like a statue. Physically very tiny, but had more grace than all of us. This is what he said about Haile Selassie. Following his release in February 1990 from prison, Nelson Mandela returned to Ethiopia in July 1990 to attend the annual summit of the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa. The other connection is Nelson Mandela believes that Ethiopianism is an inspiration for the formation of African National Congress, ANC. He said, fundamental tenets of the Ethiopian movement were self-worth, self-reliance, and freedom. These tenets drew the advocates of Ethiopianism like a magnet to the growing political movement. It is in this sense that the ANC will trace the seeds of the formation of our organization to the Ethiopian movement of the 1890s. So these are some of the connections of Mandela to Ethiopia. Okay, so do you have any information about Mandela that our listeners might not know?
Yeah, as you know, Mandela became the first black president of South Africa, first from being terrorist and then to a prisoner for 27 years. When I say terrorist, during 1960 into 1970, the party that he ruled, ANC, was known as a terrorist group, and some factors show that thousands were burned alive and killed by ANC. However, after he read so many books and through his life, he changed into being a non-violent advocate. As a result, he freed South Africa and made peace around the world. Do you also know that he was in the US terrorist watch list till 2008? Before we proceed, we'll play them Alpha Blondes, I Wish You Were Here, and we dedicate this song to Nelson Mandela.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? And did I get you to trade your heroes for ghosts, hot arches for trees, hot air for a cold breeze, cold comfort for change? And did you exchange a walk on a part in the war for a lead role in a cage? And all around what we found, the same simple fears. Oh, I wish you were here.
If you just tuned in, you are listening to the ELIC Panorama radio show, being brought to you by Hawassa College of Teacher Education every Sunday from 8:05 to 8:30 a.m. on Fana Broadcasting Corporate, Shashemene 103.4. We now proceed to the ELIC Panorama special.
I said, are you ready? Then come on, bitches, get your tins. Walk for me. Bring it to the runway now.
Old way, new way, runway queens, male, female, and in betweens.
ELIC Panorama Special.
ELIC Panorama Special.
ELIC Panorama Special.
It's the ballroom bliss.
Movie of the Week.
Music of the Week.
Book of the Week.
Sport of the Week.
Gentlemen.
As we are paying tribute to Nelson Mandela in today's ELIC Panorama radio show, our ELIC Panorama special today is Mandela special. We have movie of the week, book of the week, sports of the week, and music of the week for you. All the selections for today have Mandela connection. Let's start with movie of the week this far.
The movie we selected for today, as mentioned by Haptamu, it's about Mandela. There were many movies made about him. For today we selected Invictus. Invictus is a 2009 biographical sports drama film directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon. The story is based on the John Carlin book, Playing the Enemy, Nelson Mandela, and the game that made a nation about the events in South Africa before and during the 1995 Rugby World Cup, which was hosted in that country following the dismantling of apartheid. Freeman and Damon play, respectively, South African President Nelson Mandela and Francis Pienaar, the captain of the South African Rugby Union team, the Springboks. The title Invictus may be translated into Latin as undefeated or unconquered, and is the title of a poem by British poet William Ernest Hanley. The film was met with positive critical reviews and earned Academy Award nominations for Freeman, Best Actor, and Damon, Best Supporting Actor.
So enjoy the movie trailer for Invictus.
I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Today, President Mandela takes office in Pretoria, balancing black aspirations with white fears.
Remember this day, boys. This is a day our country went to the dogs.
Brothers, sisters, this is the time to build our nation. All of the whites are cheering for South Africa. All of the blacks are cheering for England. How long before the World Cup?
Don't get your hopes up. We're a damn disgrace.
I've been invited to tea.
With who?
The President.
Tell me, Francois, how do we inspire ourselves to greatness when nothing less will do? How do we inspire everyone around us?
What did he want?
I think he wants us to win the World Cup.
This rugby is a political calculation.
It is a human calculation.
According to the experts, we'll reach the quarterfinals and no further.
According to the experts, you and I should still be in jail.
Times change. And we need to change as well. We'll become more than just a rugby team. Did you ever imagine this? How could I?
Do you hear? Listen to your country. This is it. This is our destiny.
I was thinking about how you spent 30 years in a tiny cell and come out ready to forgive the people who put you there.
I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
For this week's book selection, our guest Francis has a book for us.
Thanks, Habtamu. Our book of the week is Long Walk to Freedom. This book is written by Nelson Mandela, and it is the story of his life, so it is called an autobiography. The book was published 19 years ago, but Mandela began writing it while he was in prison. Remember, Mandela spent 27 years in prison, from 1963 to 1990. The book tells the story of Mandela's life from his childhood in South Africa to his election as president. Remember, he became the first black president of the country in 1994, the same year that the book was published. In the first part of the book, he writes about his childhood and adolescence, about his education at elite schools, that is, schools that were for rich and privileged people. He also describes his work as a lawyer, or we can also say his practice of law. The second part of the book talks about political and social troubles of South Africa, from implementation of apartheid and Mandela's long battle against it. Remember, apartheid was the political system in South Africa that separated the different nationalities and peoples who lived there and gave privileges to people of European origin. Long Walk to Freedom, our book of the week, won the Alan Paton Award in 1995. The Alan Paton Award is a South African literary award that has been given annually since 1989 for works of non-fiction. The award is sponsored by the Sunday Times newspaper in Johannesburg. The review from the website Amazon.com says this about the book. Among the book's interesting revelations is Mandela's ambivalence towards his lifetime of devotion to public service. It cost him 2 marriages and kept him distant from a family life he might have otherwise cherished. Long Walk to Freedom also discloses a strong and generous spirit that refused to be broken under the most trying circumstances, a spirit in which just about everybody can find something to admire. Also, the Library Journal wrote this about the book. Mandela traces the growth of his understanding of the oppression of the blacks of South Africa, his conviction that there was no alternative to armed struggle, his developing belief that all people, black and white, must be free for true freedom, and the effect that his commitment to overthrowing apartheid had on his family, who paid a terrible price. Over a third of Mandela's memoir tells of his 27 years in prison, an account that could stand alone as a prison narrative. He ends the book with the conclusion that his long walk for freedom has just begun. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. That was taken from the Library Journal. So listeners, if you have read our book of the week, Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, and if you want to tell us what you think about it, please go to our Facebook page.
And Haptam, why don't you tell us what music of the week we have for today?
For this week's music selection, we chose Nelson Mandela, A Tribute to Freedom, which is written by songwriter Gregory Engel a United States diplomat and former U.S. ambassador to Togo.
You know, Haftamu, surprisingly, he is the current country director of Peace Corps Ethiopia.
Ah, interesting. This song is about the sacrifice Nelson Mandela paid to freedom. Have a listen to it and we'll be right back.
Nelson, Nelson, tell us true. How well have we learned your lesson? There's so much more that we must do to live in the world of your vision.
Born a noblehood born, Trans-Sky the home of his clan. How could a birth so humble yield such a giant husband man? Born into a country where people of his color had no choice. They suffered grave indignities. He struggled long to bring to them a voice. Nelson, Nelson, tell us true. How well have we learned your lesson? There's so much more that we must do to live in the world of your vision. Nelson, as a young man, saw that his people were oppressed, denied a decent education, forced to leave their homes without redress, risking home and occupation. Nelson joined the ranks of those who dared to defy apartheid legislation, demanding that their grievances be aired. Nelson, Nelson, tell us true. How well have we learned your lesson? There's so much more that we must do to live in the world of your vision.
That's the end of our ELIC Panorama special for this week. For those of you who would like to get involved in this program or are interested in learning more about what we do as an ELIC, you can join us on our Facebook page and join the conversation at www.facebook.com/Hawassa CTEELIC. We would be very appreciative if you could send us your comments or suggestions using our cell phone number, which is 0928414250, or you can email us at hawassacteelic@hotmail.com. If you missed the show and you want to hear today's radio program, it will be uploaded to YouTube this afternoon. All you need to do is go to www.youtube.com and search for ELIC Panorama Episode 7.
I have a website suggestion for listeners. That is www.britishcouncil.org/Learn English. This site is dedicated to helping you to learn English. You can become a member and contribute to the site, interact with other learners, and download free resources. Learn English includes interactive features such as user comments, discussion, forums, content rating, as well as media-rich materials including podcasts, games, and video.
We're about to conclude our special tribute radio program for Nelson Mandela. What are your favorite quotes from Mandela? Tasman.
I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This is my favorite.
Interesting. How about Todd?
As an educator, I find his education quotes very uplifting and inspiring. So my quote that I chose would be, "Education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world."
Again interesting. Francis?
Well, Habtamu, every few years I reinvent myself, so this quotation resonates deeply with me. Mandela wrote, "There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered."
Habtamu, you didn't tell us yours.
Yeah, mine is, when a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Mandela.
And with that, have a great week and tune in next week.
Goodbye, and it was Tasfahun with you today, and
Todd McGowan, have a great week.
Habtamu.
Francis, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me on the show, Tesfa, and I'll be sure to listen to future episodes on YouTube.